Welcome. Today we're jumping into two incredible stories about flying. And what's really interesting is that they each explore a totally different kind of challenge. One is all about a fear that's deep inside, and the other is about a literal raging storm on the outside.
So let's start with that first story. And it really gets you thinking about what it takes to face a fear that just feels, well, impossible to overcome.
Our story kicks off on a cliff ledge, and there's this young seagull who is just completely alone. His whole family has left him behind.
Yeah, can you imagine that? The day before, his siblings just took off. They soared into the sky. But he was stuck, just paralyzed by the sight of that huge green sea stretching out for miles and miles below him.
And really, this is the whole problem. It's this one single thought that has him trapped. It wasn't about his ability, it was about what he believed. He was just so certain he would fall that he didn't even try. Instead, he just ran back into his little hole under the ledge.
And here's the thing that's kinda wild. His brothers and sister, they actually had shorter wings than he did, but they just ran to the edge and off they went. They were fearless. But our little guy, who was perfectly capable of flying, was just frozen by his own fear. His parents, well, they tried everything. They'd circle around, calling to him, even scolding him for being a coward. But nothing worked. That young seagull was just too terrified to move.
Okay, so as the sun is blazing down, the seagull is getting weaker and weaker. He hasn't had a single bite to eat since the night before. Something's got to give, right?
He was starving, absolutely starving. He starts crying out, begging her for some food. And then he sees it. His mother is flying towards him, and she's got a little scrap of fish in her beak. Finally!
But his mom is pretty clever. She doesn't just hand over the food. No. She flies right up close, and then she just stops, hovering just out of his reach. And that's it. He's driven absolutely mad by hunger, and with no other choice, he leaps off the ledge, diving straight for that fish.
For a second, it must have been pure terror, just falling, plummeting down into empty space. But then, instinct kicks in. His wings just spread out all on their own.
And just like that, the fear was gone. It was replaced by this joyful scream as he soared and curved through the sky. He did it! He was actually flying!
So in the end, it was that powerful, overwhelming hunger that finally shoved him past his fear. And in that moment, he discovered a strength he had inside of him the entire time. All right, now let's switch gears to our second story. So where the seagull started out completely frozen by fear, this pilot, well, he starts his journey with total confidence on a beautiful, clear night. Our narrator is flying his old plane, heading home to England. The sky is perfect, stars are out, and he's just dreaming about being with his family. It's supposed to be an easy, perfect flight. But then, up on the horizon, he sees them. Storm clouds. And these aren't just any clouds. They look like giant black mountains standing right in his way.
Now, he knew he should probably turn back, but that thought of a big English breakfast and getting home to his family, it was just too strong. So he makes a pretty risky decision and flies that old plane straight into the storm.
And instantly everything goes wrong. Inside those clouds it was pitch black. His plane is jumping and twisting around. He glances at his compass, it's just spinning uselessly. The radio, totally dead. Every single one of his instruments failed. He was completely blind and totally, utterly lost.
And then, somehow, out of the darkness, another plane appears right next to him. A mysterious guide. It had no lights on its wings, but he could see the other pilot wave, motioning for him to follow.
For a whole half an hour, he just followed this strange, dark plane like an obedient child. He put all his trust in this pilot he couldn't even really see. His fuel tank was getting dangerously low. He was starting to get scared all over again. But just then, the black plane started going down, and he followed it. And suddenly, boom, he broke through the clouds and saw the lights of a runway. He was safe. The second he landed, he ran to the control tower. He just had to find the pilot of that black airplane, He needed to thank him for saving his life. But when he asked the woman in the tower about him, she just gave him a really strange look.
She tells him there weren't any other planes out there in that storm. The radar showed only one aircraft, his. He had been completely, totally alone up there.
And this just leaves us with this massive question. If no one else was there, then how did he survive?
Who guided him out of that storm with no compass, no radio, and barely any fuel?
So you have these two flights. One was a battle against the fear you feel on the inside, and it's won with a single desperate leap. The other was a battle against a real storm on the outside, won by a mysterious guide. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? When we face our own storms, will our help come from a strength we have to find deep inside ourselves? Or does it come from somewhere else entirely, something we might not ever be able to explain?